Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Best MTG Decks Ever. I'm your host Joseph, and today I'm bringing you a video about what is CEDH. CEDH is just regular Commander or EDH, but it's got that little C on the front of it that stands for competitive. In making this video, I did a bunch of research online to find out what other people's opinions and ideas were on CEDH. I already had my own, but I wanted to see if there was something I was missing or kind of like a way to bring everything together. In my research, I gathered everything together and I basically came to the conclusion that the foundation of CEDH is a social contract among the players that sit down to play the game. This social contract is comprised of three things. One is that winning is the goal of the game. A lot of people play Commander and winning is not the goal of the game. You can sit down at a table and people will literally get upset at you for winning in certain ways and for winning at times before they get to do whatever they're doing. And that is very against the core of CEDH. CEDH, everyone's trying to win. I'm trying to win, you're trying to win, he's trying to win, he's trying to win. Usually four people, sitting down, and the goal is to win. Everyone has to socially agree on that contract. The second part of the social contract is that any win con or strategy is legitimate. I think you'll find in a lot of Commander groups that aren't running competitive, there seems to be these little quirks about this play group or that play group or this LGS where it's like they hate on something specifically. They hate on land destruction. They hate on Thoracle. They hate on X, Y, or Z. But in CDH, there is no room for that. Anything goes. Any strat goes. Any legal card goes. It's all about winning. It's all about optimizing your deck to do what it's supposed to do to win. And lastly, this isn't so much like mandatory in the foundation, but one thing that I found that was very common was that proxying was very friendly in the CDH community. And for me personally, I love that because I'm 100% proxies. I just bought two whole decks that are all proxies, the whole thing, top to bottom, 200 cards. Those three things, to me, make up the social contract of CDH. That's what you basically need at its core to be CDH. The goal is to win. Any win con goes, proxy friendly. That brings us to the next thing, which is deck composition. There seems to be a lot of debate about what makes a deck CDH. And the reason why I didn't include that in the foundation is because it's very contextual and it can change a lot. And I think at its core, CEDH follows that social contract more, and it's less about the decks actually being comprised of specific cards, but more about that social contract. But in deck composition, since we are all trying to win, the decks should be somewhat relatively close in power level. Let me talk a little bit about deck composition. Deck composition can suffer from two or be affected by two things: macro influences and micro influences. Macro influences would be card bans. So, for example, if the rules committee banned Thassa's Oracle, it would shake the meta up a bunch. And then you wouldn't necessarily, like right now, if someone's running a Grixis deck, if they don't have Thoracle, Demonic Consultation, and Tainted Pact, you kind of think like that's not CDH. You kind of think like that. Typically, because of a ban of Thassa's Oracle would change the composition of the deck, and just because it doesn't have that stuff doesn't mean that it's not CEDH. That's why with deck composition, I said it has more to do with that the decks are relatively similar in power. If somebody sat down at a table and they all said, okay, we're gonna play CDH. We're gonna have the social contract. Winning is the goal of the game. Anything goes. We're proxy friendly. And someone whips out a precon, and then someone whips out blue farm, and then two people are playing battle cruiser decks. It just doesn't match. The power levels don't match, and because of that, it causes the social contract to be thrown off. It can still you can still run that, but it will be heavily imbalanced. Likewise, we go back. I think that it is totally possible to play Cedh with lower power decks as long as all of the decks are relatively close in power. It just so happens that the way that Cedh is typically run is everyone's trying to run as the most powerful deck possible, and because of that, a meta forms, and then we have all these decks which rise. They're the cream of the crop. They're at the top. And there are also micro influences on decks, which could be your play group. So, for example, maybe your play group, 3 people are playing fringe Cedh commanders, and they won't really be able to keep up with your Najila deck. And in that case, maybe you'll play a deck that's a little bit lower in power scale, but still, in the Cedh cream meta, in order to have the games be more fair. Because at the base of it, you want fairness to be in the games, because if winning is the goal of the game, you want it to be fair so that the outcome actually matters. It's not you just pub stomping people. So to me, that's what Cedh means. It's just really that social contract at the base and making sure that the deck's power levels are relatively the same, but 99% of the time, you're just playing those Cedh commanders, those commanders known for Cedh that are a cut above all the rest. They've got strong draw engines or strong mechanics built into them that allow them to do things that other commanders can't. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.